Welcome everyone وأهلا وسهلا فيكم at live at 6:05 to our session that we do almost daily, almost. I just want you to know that exceptionally tomorrow our session will be at 4 p.m. because our guest is from Dubai and he is going to be, we're going to be going to phase 2 of fire safety. So please make sure tomorrow you don't forget to meet me at 6:05 at 4, not at 6:05. Okay? Tonight's session is really different and unique. As we say, there is a problem for every solution, and there is a medicine for every, like if you want disease or sickness or anything. And as I'm hearing, like holistically, the health and well-being of the human being is really evolving and developing. And it looks like there is a new degree and major that is out in the States, probably. I don't know if it's already in Lebanon. It's called the integrative nutrition. Really, really, when I read about it, all I could say, it's someone who would come and hold your hand and take care of you as a human being holistically, of your helping you gain your happiness back because you are the only person who can work on your happiness, but probably they can hold you by the hand and take you one step at a time. It's about the mental health. It's about the physical health. It's about your social life, your career, and definitely the food. That is the problem of everyone. I just sometimes just say people, those who don't have weight problem, whether underweight or overweight, are blessed. But I think that the majority of people have weight problem. If you think that weight problem is related only to your food, so let's speak to Choghik, get to know her first, and then we're gonna see what she's gonna tell us about the circle of life in integrative nutrition. Hi, Choghik.
Hi, Badia. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Um,
Thank you. How
integrative,
are you doing?
alhamdulillah.
I want
Thank
you
you.
to
Thank you.
introduce the mom and the woman you are.
Oh,
We want to know about you. Who are you?
I'm um, I'm the mother of two wonderful girls. The eldest is in college already; it's her second year, and the youngest is in grade 7. She will finish this year, and they are the apples of my eyes. They're my life. I do whatever I do for them. And whatever I started studying integrative nutrition, I was always interested in healthy food, healthy cooking, um, but I had to take it a step further when you have certain health issues at home and you need to fix them, and you ask for your doctor's help, and the doctor is in the team always. And along with the doctor, you try to figure out what's going on. And when those things don't work, also, then you have to start searching for something else. And that's when I came across integrative nutrition. And
Always, anytime there is any kind of disease in the house, as simple as diarrhea, when the doctor tells you take that medicine, people always go back to what did I eat today? What did I drink? What did
absolutely.
I do? Was I under stress? What I because before we start the integrative nutrition, because it's really important to tell what you've studied. Can you tell us a bit about your career, your educational career?
Okay. A long time ago, when I was much younger, of course, in college, I studied psychology and biology. I minored in biology, and then I did my master's in population statistics.
Interesting.
And I did that because during my undergraduate years, I took both statistics a statistics course and a research methods course. And I realized how much more interested I am in research per se. So I studied population statistics, and then I started working at the American University Hospital in the pediatrics department. And it was a wonderful experience. I learned a lot, I worked a lot, and we established a very unique database, very unique not only to Lebanon, but to the Middle East. And we gathered tons of data on every single newborn in the greater Beirut area.
Wow.
It was, and we did lots of research, and we published a lot of papers based on that data.
So basically, you have a career in, you have, like you started in psychology. And my question, today you are a health coach, correct?
Yes.
You're a certified
Yes.
health coach. Okay.
Yes.
Why did you, in what field did you take the certified health coaching?
Oh, this is the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. It's based in New York. Initially, they didn't have the online program, but as more people were interested and how effective it was also, so they launched this online program, I think a couple of years ago, and a lot of people took the classes that way. It's a one-year program. Many people took the course and got certified. And I know for a fact in Lebanon there are many wonderful people health coaching, and they have Instagram pages, they post recipes, tips, healthy tips for children, for hormonal balance. Everyone is kind of taking a path, focusing on a certain age group or a specific disease or a specific problem. And they're an extremely positive group of coaches who can help a lot. They are basically the link.
Yeah, as I read about integrative nutrition, really it is not only about food as in nutrition, that part, the one we intake, the mouth part. So I understand the integrative nutrition, but as well what I liked, and that's why I really made sure that we discuss the psychology and the biology. I wanted our guests to know that you have both those knowledge, and you practiced basically in your career both, and this is so important because the title is The Circle of Life in Integrative Nutrition.
Okay.
And a while back, we were discussing, not you and I, with a guest of mine, we were discussing the clock of life. So I'm gathering really important, that was in the Chinese medicine. So really now I feel that we are gathering a good, like a group of people with interesting topics. So the cycle of life, okay,
Right.
and integrative nutrition. So definitely you're gonna need the biology you studied, and that is a minor. And you're gonna need the psychology you majored in, because like as I read personally a lot about the integrative nutrition, I felt a lot, there is a lot of spirituality and like advancement and mental health. Can we discuss that? What is the title? The Circle of Life and Integrative Nutrition.
Okay. The Circle of Life was developed by the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and it has a list of 12 items that include primarily somebody's physical health, their physical activity, how much exercise they do, whether or not they cook at home, their home environment, spirituality, their relationships, the joy they have, the joy of life, finances, career, education. These are the 12 factors in the circle of life. And if we're going to focus on the ones that are mostly problematic in many people are actually physical activity, whether they exercise or not, their spirituality, their careers, and their relationships. And initially, when I was talking about this to a friend of mine, she was kind of confused. I mean, she really wanted to know what she can eat, how she can go about. And instead of talking about what she should eat and shouldn't eat, giving her a list, we started talking about, other things not related to food per se. And she was saying, I don't really feel like talking about all this now. Let's just get to the point. Tell me what to eat, what not to eat. I want to do this fast. But you can do it fast, of course, but it's not going to last very long. For example, if somebody is stuck in a career that they don't particularly like, we spend about 8 hours a day in our jobs, normally, not in Corona, of course, but we go to our jobs and we spend most of our waking hours at our jobs. And if we're working something we don't particularly like or enjoy, and we're spending our day with our colleagues who we are not really connected with, we're very different from each other, then that's not going to be a very satisfying career. You're not going to be really happy. So let's say at the end of the week, it's Friday night, you're coming back home, and you're like, oh, I went through this week. I did it. It's done. I got everything I was supposed to do. I got it done without anything bad happening to me. I didn't explode. So on your way back, you feel like, you deserve a reward. When you stop by Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, and you're going to get a box of 6 donuts. And then you read on the
to mention on,
Yeah, and then they say buy 8 and get 4 for free. So instead of buying 6, you end up getting 8 and getting an extra 4 for free. You're driving home happily with a dozen donuts, and you feel like you can reward yourself with those donuts or ice cream or whatever it is that you particularly like. And that's how, for example, the career part can affect somebody's diet. If you're not happy in the career, the dieting, any kind of dieting, is not gonna last very long. So people have to start looking at, if they have a problem with food, they have to stop, think about what food, how can they identify their food problem, and from there start to unblock, dismantle the pieces. The example I gave is very basic and very straightforward, but usually in life it's a lot more complicated, and you really need to untangle.
Basically us in Lebanon, I want to talk about our community here. This is how we reward ourselves. It's always with food. The good thing about it that we have our food is really healthy, but probably it's the combination, it's the timing, it's the quantity we need to work on that comes with different things, because you cannot just say I am gonna allow myself to eat whatever I want because today I deserve to. I think there is a lot that is connected to what we eat that is really emotional.
Exactly.
Or we are physically tired. Because sometimes when we're tired, we eat chocolate, like we go to whatever gives us quick energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. But if you're in a program, for instance, you can learn how to make your own, let's say, healthy chocolate at home instead of using sugar, high fructose corn syrup, or emulsifiers, additives, colorings, which are so bad. They add up and they're really bad for our health. So on the weekend, if you have a cooking project, you can make your own. And if you know your weakness is chocolate, for instance, you can make it at home with coconut oil, with cacao powder, raw cacao powder, which is full of antioxidants, honey, and other, if you want nuts in it or other stuff. So you can do that, prepare it ahead of time, put it in the fridge, and whenever you have that craving, you eat it mindfully because it's not a large quantity when you make it at home. You before you eat it, you automatically start asking yourself, should I do this, or I'll just have one piece. I want it to last for the whole week.
Before I
And
move on to details, I want to know your role as a health
mhm,
coach. How do you work with, I don't know what we're going to call them, with
okay,
patients, with the individuals that come to you? How do
okay.
you work with them? Because I want to start from A to Z, and then I want to know as well, do you work with children or you just work with adults?
Okay. But yeah, me personally, I'm not practicing coaching per se. I had started a company that we made fermented drinks, which are extremely healthy. They're full of probiotics and digestive enzymes and natural vitamins. So, another reason why I did this, why I studied this, is because people started asking me questions online about health issues. And although I had practiced all of this for my family, I needed to be certified before I could give them answers. And that's the only reason I did it at that point. But I do know that many health coaches either have their own office or they can meet up somewhere and talk with their client. They can work with physicians and nutritionists because, for example, uh, if it helps to educate the patient to become a more informed, a more educated, a smarter patient. If somebody goes to the doctor, for example, and the doctor tells them that you have ABC and the solution is XYZ. One of the X's, XYZ is medication, for instance. So most people are programmed to take the doctor's word 100% without much question, with very minimal questioning. But if you are an informed patient, you ask your doctor, give me a chance. How much time do you give me before I can start on these traditional medications, which can make me worse, which have many side effects, for example? Can I try something for a month, for 6 months? How long can is this life threatening? So we shouldn't be afraid to ask the doctor questions, and the health coach then comes in, and the health coach can educate the client about what to ask from the doctor and what to do during that period that the doctor gave the patient. Um, at that point, when the patient returns to the doctor, if there has been a positive change, then the patient will inform that to the doctor, and the doctor himself or herself would have learned something new and distributes that information and uses that information to other patients. So, in doctors' clinics, many times health coaches can be the link between the doctor and the patient. The doctor oftentimes says, okay, you're supposed to eat more vegetables and drink more water and stop the sugars. The doctor often doesn't have more time to look deeper into why is this person eating more sugar or more fat, more unhealthy fat, more of the stuff he shouldn't be eating. So if there's a health coach, then they can dismantle and work together how to do this transition. They also work with dietitians and nutritionists.
The health coach, when they speak to the patient, they highlight like the dozen of the 12 items that are important to look after. Okay, like if I want to like that will those points that will keep that person motivated, that will keep them sane, that will keep them, because like it's a long process for someone's life to change from like for someone to start taking care of themselves, start working on their health, on their sanity, on their relationships. And that is an important point, relationships. Can you elaborate on that a bit about the relationships and home environment?
Okay, yes. Absolutely, you're right, Badia. The first step is to look at the 12 items in the 12 in the circle of life and to identify which parts need more help than the others. In relationships, for instance, when somebody comes home from wherever and is greeted, "Hi, sweetheart, how are you?" That's a completely different energy as opposed to somebody who comes home and is greeted very negatively or with indifference. That person who is greeted happily is less likely to stay up late watching TV with a bucket of ice cream in front of himself or herself. That person is less likely to be on antidepressants. So, antidepressants have different side effects on, including appetite, and that's another issue. But for someone who is happy, that person is less likely to binge with something they're not supposed to be eating. Home environment, the same home environment. If it's always messy, if it's always dirty, if it's always not aerated, it needs to relatively to be clean, to be not to have mold in the house, for instance. That's something we have a big problem in Lebanon. Most houses have a lot of mold. We get mold toxicity, therefore. So by home environment, which includes, partially includes home cooking, what kind of foods are available? Do we have like hidden boxes of chocolates in the cupboard for special occasions? This is all a part of the home environment. It's very interesting because all of these things ultimately affect the health and affect the way we eat.
Now you already discussed the career that will lead to the finances as well, and etc. But I think it's very important for individuals to like take the time to work on themselves physically, mentally, and spiritually to reach a
Yes.
safe land. And this is what we tried to do basically during the lockdown. We tried to discuss different topics that will really tackle every point in people's life and trying to,
Mm-hmm.
to keep to go with the flow of the mental health, so to say. Uh,
Exactly.
if we want to discuss the bio individuality, the before we move to the primary food, and
Mm-hmm.
by the way, the primary food is not necessarily food. We're not discussing the food here. I
Exactly.
want people to know, like, as we had many sessions with nutritionists and dietitians and whatever, we always discussed and we had different therapy that we covered. They all
Right.
both always said this therapist let's may not be your solution because every person perceives things differently, and as well everybody perceives the diet differently, and someone
Yes.
who's under stress cannot lose weight if as a, under the same condition of someone who is happy. That's why your points, the points that you discussed, Singh, we have the 12 items. One of them is the joy, happiness, and the
Yes.
spirituality. Those are important because they, like, people need to heal one before the other. If not,
Yes.
because basically they cannot do it together, so one should come before. Can we discuss that a bit,
Absolutely.
please?
Um, of course. I mean, sometimes they do. I mean, we can tackle both together. It depends. Sometimes they're connected. That's how people are different from each other. I mean, somebody's joy might be completely related to their home environment. So we fix one thing, the other one gets also mostly fixed. Um, for example, in spirituality, of course, people who, let's say, talk to a higher power and ask for help, they are first and foremost feeling that they're not alone and there is a power that can help them. So that's already one step ahead. But actually, there was a scientific study done. It was many years ago, but it was a very long study. It was a 90-year study in the States. They started following up children at 5 years old and moved until the rest of their lives. And they were particularly looking for conscientiousness. I mean, we can say that this is a part of spirituality, conscientiousness. And lo and behold, conscientiousness was directly related to later in life developing Alzheimer's or other dementia. And we know how food affects dementia and Alzheimer's, anything related to old age and brain health. This was looking at brain health. And conscientiousness affecting Alzheimer's in later in life, 100% correlated and 100% related to food as well. So spirituality is very important. And we have to understand when it doesn't have to be the same. Everybody comes from different religious backgrounds. I'm not talking particularly about religion. I'm talking about spirituality in general. I believe that even atheists cannot be 100% atheists. I think that they have some form of spirituality, whether it's with nature, I don't know, but they have it. They have something that they are either grateful for or thankful for. I cannot comprehend that there is somebody without any spirituality. But if there is a
Uh,
balance.
yes. It's the balance of faith, basically, that will keep someone going, irrelevant of where his religion guides him. So it's the faith that will keep you strong, that will keep you going. And basically, this is a very important point you mentioned. Is it the noise from me? Just 1 second.
It's coming from my phone, but I don't know why. There's no reason for it.
Okay. Probably there is something running near your phone.
I'm in such a place. I don't know. I don't know what else to
No
do.
problem.
It's my connection, but
yeah, probably. So, as we discussed this point that is really important to the holistic health, that is very important. It is important as well. Let me tell you, share with you something. Not long ago, during the COVID-19, I started meditating with a guru from Sri Lanka that comes online 3 times a day. And the session is between 10 to 20 minutes. And although if you think that I was home, not going out, but that 10 to 20 minutes really was more for me like finding my peace. And that was important to me. Other people, like I found my peace, I became more creative, I had more energy. So probably everyone will see it differently, but this is so important. And we go back to what you said. You might be an atheist, but you have strengths that will pull you, and it's related to something you believe in, and that is so important. Why do you believe in heal yourself by yourself? And this is not only through the integrative nutrition, this is something through different medicine. They tell you.
Can you hear me?
Can you speak? Yes. Just raise your voice a bit, please. Okay?
It's not working.
We lost Choghik. She will come back to us within few minutes. Basically, the integrative nutrition is like a holistic health concern that one would work on. Can you hear me, Choghik? Are you back with us?
I'm back.
Okay.
On with my internet, but yeah, terrible.
You're fine now? You're ready to continue?
You see,
I can hear you. If you speak, can you speak, please? The circle of life is the holistic health of a human being, and it covers all aspects of whatever we can touch and what we cannot touch, with like the soul, it's like the spirituality, it's your mind, and then the physical activity, the career, the finances, etc. It's the combination of both, and it's important for one person to care for the whole thing in order for them to reach safe land. Can we go back to our question? Heal yourself by yourself.
Yes.
We know we're not saying there are no medical issues, but we are saying that it is important to like if you take care of things, you might less likely face health conditions. Let me put it this way and hear the details with Choghik.
Okay. Basically, it's important to have a balance amongst these 12 factors. And this is something that it changes over time. 12 items mean different things for people at different ages in their lives. If you're coaching somebody who's a child, you're not going to ask about their finances at that point.
Exactly.
But it's important to have a balance. Once you start, it's not something that's going to be 100%. Everybody is working on themselves, betterment. Understand you're important. We need to, in the process of coaching, in the process of learning, to be able to heal ourselves, we need to do a lot of homework. And that's when a health coach would come in, for instance, again, by teaching what are the healthy habits, what makes a person be able to monitor themselves. If you're eating right, exercising, being in nature is so important and something that lacks a lot in today's society. A lot. Eating organic, mostly eating raw foods, having good conversations, having good friends, being around positive people, people that you love, people who respect you back and forth. I mean, it's reciprocal, of course. And when we have these, then we're in a relatively healthy state. We really don't need to go to any dieting. But life always challenges us. And when one of these things are out of balance, then something happens, something changes. The body always knows how to heal itself. It's the best supercomputer in the world. It always heals itself already without us doing anything. Just being, not eating foods that were not meant for human consumption. And when we are out of balance, when we start feeling something that's not right, we are able to know that something is not right. You feel it intuitively. Your intuitions become stronger. You're able to distinguish that something is not right, as opposed to somebody whose life is super hectic, always eating the wrong foods because they're hectic, because of their hectic lifestyle. And that person will most likely not be able to have that intuition to feel that there's something wrong. I need to go see a doctor. So, of course, the sooner you go see the doctor, the faster you will have a diagnosis and a treatment, therefore. Sometimes what health coaches do, we're not eliminating the doctor. It's very important to know that holistic, when we're approaching something holistically, we're not against the doctor. No, the doctor is a part of the team, a very important part, of course. And once you get the diagnosis, you know what to do, and then you decide, you plan with your doctor and with your natural sources what direction you want to go.
And basically, we want to point at a very important point we discussed, that sometimes people are different. They may
Right.
like something or not like something, and the fear of like, I don't want to be judged, I don't want, if I don't fit in, etc. So
Mm.
this is something as well that need to be like give, like you owe it to
Yes,
yourself. Go ahead, please.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, for example, if I know a lot of people, when they go to the doctor, they're actually afraid to confront the doctor. They're afraid to ask questions. They're afraid to question the higher authority, let's say. But no, they should have enough self confidence, enough respect to themselves that there's nothing wrong with asking, and even a second opinion, even for a second opinion. And that's when you get your second opinion most of the time. That's how you see the alternative. And when you do the alternative, it works. You go back to your initial loving doctor and you explain what you did. And that's how information goes further. People should not be afraid.
It's like everything in life where like you have they say some of them they go with the flow where like let's say someone eats lots of
Exactly.
sugar and you go with the flow of like, I don't want to tell them that I don't want to eat or I'm on a diet and I'm intimidated by saying those words, and
Exactly.
or like or alcohol or drugs or whatever. Like I started with sugar, but you can go with the flow with so many things.
Right.
Saying no, taking a stand for your beliefs and what is best for you, this is
Yes,
so important. Especially that the power of
absolutely.
can change your life.
Absolutely.
If you
100%. Everything.
can we
Sorry, sorry, but yeah.
can we discuss a bit the power of food?
uh, Everything we eat directly is it's turned into something else and into our bloodstream, sometimes within minutes, sometimes within a few hours. So it's directly it's us. Everything we eat becomes completely us. um, I lost my train of thought, but when you were talking about people fearing about going with the flow, or I have to fit in with everybody's eating this, I'm going to eat it too. I think a lot of people are afraid to get a diagnosis of, you have to stop eating a certain kind of food because it's so hard. Imagine if they tell you have to stop eating bread. I think uh, that's one of the hardest because
Actually,
bread
that
and gluten.
happened with me yesterday, because I've been trying to work on myself for a while. So during the lockdown, I changed my lifestyle, my whole lifestyle inside the four walls, literally. I started doing everything that I ever dreamt of doing. I started doing it, from eating healthy, from exercising to meditation,
That's
to
great.
working, to developing my work further, to like, oh, everything together. And just yesterday, I met a friend who wanted to go have dinner. And you know, now, like the shops, the cafes are limited with people,
Yes.
etc. So he was eating, and I wasn't. I told him, no, I
Oh,
ate. I'm
wow.
gonna just have coffee. Like to me,
Okay.
that really is truly like it was my mental mind, it was my mind that said no, it wasn't my eyes or my gourmet side, because like I'm someone who loves food. I
Okay.
entertain on food. I love to cook. I love to do that. But for me
Okay.
to say, no, I'm not going to eat now, it was something very important. And this is
Yeah.
basically that no was one of the first for since ages. Like I managed to say no on
Wow.
like when it comes to food because I love food, and this is so important. And like if you think about it, like uh, food that people eat that changed today. There used to be for a while, they used to tell them, do not eat fat, do not eat ghee, do not come near the butter. Like for me, my father and grandfather ate the real ghee with eggs fried and etc. And they were healthier than a
Yes.
10 years old today
Yes.
that is sitting behind the laptop and
Yes.
the iPad. So, can you please
Exactly.
elaborate on this?
100%. Yes. Fat is the primary food for the brain. And you can see how many issues we have with, I don't want to say just Alzheimer's with old age, but with younger children as well. And I can't not help but think that, non-fat diets, low-fat diets, all had a part in this. Everybody in the old days, they ate ghee, and ghee is super healthy. And it was healthier before because it didn't come from factory farmed animals. It came from grass-fed animals. And this is a huge difference. Um,
Exactly.
uh, grass-fed meat and grass-fed products have omega-3 fatty acids in them, and not conventionally prepared meat and products contain more of omega-6 fatty acids, which are the inflammatory fatty acids. So it's very important to eat grass-fed. In the old days, when they were healthier, they had grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee, grass-fed meat, and meat was not something they had every single day. It was mostly for special occasions or Sundays, um, and it was full of omega-3. And they ate the organ meats as well, which are full of exceptionally healthy nutrients, like the liver. The liver, to eat the liver of an animal is very, very healthy. It provides so much nutrition, so much iron, um, so much vitamins that is absorbed quickly by the body and readily used. We don't have that nowadays. We have meat, but it's mostly factory farmed. We don't know what that animal has been eating, what that animal has been given as hormones and antibiotics. Those hormones and antibiotics are not going to go anywhere. They were given to the animal, and then when we eat the products made from that animal, it's going to be absorbed by our bodies. And over time, that can cause many things, including antibiotic resistance. Even if somebody hasn't been on antibiotics, but if they're eating uh, these kinds of foods, conventionally grown foods, they're going to have antibiotic resistance probably at some point. Um, so definitely, and like for example, shortening started in the early 1900s, just before World War II, I think. Um, by Procter and Gamble, I think, and they used to be a candle making company, and then with time, as electricity came about, they were going to stop making candles. They knew it wasn't going to work, and almost accidentally they introduced hydrogenation to the fat they were using for their candles, and it looked exactly like lard. And lard was what people used, which is really healthy. It's like another, as healthy as ghee. And when they saw what it looked like, they figured they can uh, sell it as food, as fat, and they advertised it as um,
As such.
pure vegetable fat, and much cheaper than lard. So people could use more of it. But that wasn't really meant for human consumption. It's not going to be able to break down properly. It's not going to reach where it's supposed to reach, like the brain. And people started using that. I know, like, our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, the end of our grandparents' generation, they had just started to use this stuff. But I know my parents' generation used it a lot. They used it in baking, in cookies, in pies, in frying. They used it in frying a lot because it was so much cheaper than lard. And that caused so many diseases just by itself.
What should someone look at if they want to know what to eat? What
Um, it has to be like not processed food. We're all in a hurry sometimes, and we need to get something that's ready. But as as long as there are 5 ingredients or less on the ingredients list, that's the best way to start. Um, bread, for example, a lot of times people are told not to eat bread and not to eat gluten, and um, you can't start like that for somebody who's just going to start off. You can't say, don't eat this and don't eat this. They have to have alternatives. They have to know what they can eat. And if you're cooking at home, it's much easier, of course. For example, if you're not going to omit the bread, if you're somebody who has been used to eating manouche on the go every day to work, how can you tell that person, no, you cannot eat manouche anymore? It's not good for you. But you can make your manouche at home. You can make it gluten-free if you wish. There are recipes. You can make it at home with sourdough. So even if you don't have access to the best flour available, if you have regular flour, if you're using sourdough, if you're making it sourdough, it takes more time to prepare, but once it's there, it doesn't take time for you to work on it actively. It just needs preparation ahead of time. And you make your manouches, you can make them sourdough. Use wheat. Make them with sourdough. It's much easier to digest, much less harmful on your digestive system. Most of the gluten has been broken up already. I mean, there are studies still working on this. It's not 100%, but it definitely is more digestible. And it's something, once you start working with something like that, you automatically learn because it's a process. It's a process. Once you start working with sourdough, another thing, when you work with fermented foods, including sourdough, I mean, we don't think about this. But what is sourdough? It's bacteria. And it's good bacteria, which is breaking down the molecules for you to be able to digest it easier. But we're using our hands. Like I make a lot of sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, kombucha at home, and we consume that all the time. But when you're using your hands, we have bacteria on our hands all the time. And these bacteria are what make us. We have more bacteria, beneficial bacteria, on us and in us than we have cells in our body, maybe 10 times more. So when you're using your hands to knead this sourdough bread, your bacteria are interacting with the bacteria in the wild yeast. There is interaction between the yeast and your bacteria. Some of your bacteria went into that dough. And that dough actually develops into what your unique body wants and needs because of your own unique bacteria. I really believe this concept. It's like this concept is also very much written about in gardening when you're working with the soil. When you're making sauerkraut, you're kneading your cabbage, your vegetables. That bacteria is interacting with the vegetables, and then when it ferments, it's your bacteria. You're getting what your unique body needs. So I would encourage people to eat everything, but make it a bit differently. Make it at home most of the time. Um, because another thing, like in ready-made food, it's not just the number of items. Like if we're gonna get manouche even, the kind of
You have
flour that's most.
the raw food, the fermented food, the
Yes,
detox, يعني all those as well. They need to know. So one needs to know about that as well when
it's
they.
good to know. Yes, I think that this comes in steps. Somebody who's excuse me, if somebody is going to change the way they eat, they can't change everything overnight. But once they start with one thing and they start seeing the result, how actually more delicious it is, how more satisfying it is, how much calmer they feel after they've made something from scratch, because that cooking process is also something very therapeutic. And they start seeing that, okay, I'm eating this, it's delicious, and what if they automatically, that's human nature, they automatically start thinking of the next step. And the next step for them could be maybe going hiking, maybe eating uh, foods they've never eaten before. Let's say they say, I'm gonna go raw. Although I don't believe in diets that you should be on a strict diet for the rest of your life, because it doesn't work. They're too hard to retain over a long period of time. And as we all know, the yo-yoing in dieting is worse. If somebody is using this diet and then after a month, any diet from the standard American diet, any change is going to make somebody lose weight initially, whatever the diet is. So it's important to sustain it. And to sustain it, you have to make that person interested, genuinely interested in what they're doing. And that comes step by step so they don't get discouraged. There's this myth that healthy food takes too much time to make, healthy food costs too much money. It's a myth. It can be broken down.
Yeah, you have to do things to fit whatever, to fit your need and what's best for you. Especially you have to look at 4 points. You have to understand yourself if you want to eat healthy. You need to
Mm-hmm.
know the gender, the 4 points. You have them in front of you.
Yes. The gender, I mean, women and men eat very differently. Women have different hormones, and that affects the way we eat. Um, Age, somebody who's a 12-year-old running in a football game is not going to eat the same as a 60-year-old uh, who is who has different needs.
Exactly.
Um, culture, we're all genetically predisposed to being able to digest certain foods, to like or dislike certain foods, and it's this is sort of based on the ancestral diet. There is something called the ancestral diet that everybody should eat what their ancestors ate. Although it's again, one of those diet theories that might or might not work over a long period, but it's a part of it. It's not the whole thing. And cravings. Yes, it's important to deconstruct cravings. Where is the craving coming from? Why is the craving coming? And again, we go back to the circle of life.
Choghik is in process now of putting a book together, I think.
Yes, yes, I
What's it
am.
about?
Uh, it's mostly recipes. Um,
Okay.
and I know the world doesn't need yet another cookbook, but I really, really strongly believe in this one because many people who don't have any health issues or supposedly don't have any health issues, they realize that they have to stop eating their chocolate bars in their car, or when they're hitting that low in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, they still have another 2 hours of work to do. They have to go on with another cup of coffee, some cookies. Um, they know they have to change some things, and there are tons of diets out there. One says, you have to go on the keto diet. That's the best thing to do, or the paleo, or go vegan. Don't eat any sugar. So there are tons of diets out there, and this person doesn't know where to start, which diet to go to. And I think this book will be the transitioning book, because it will help them to have healthy recipes, easy, healthy recipes that they can
munch on and prepare.
a lot of times prepare ahead of time. And yes, and then afterwards, like after a year or 2 years into this book, if they still feel that there are changes they need to make because of their specific health issue, then they'll know what to do. They'll know that they have to go on the paleo diet, or they have to go on an alkaline diet, or the raw foods diet. But again, I mean, in my opinion, diets are okay for a certain amount of time. And then after a while, when you see the benefits of the diet, you've reached, for example, the weight you want to reach, you don't stay on that diet forever. You start reintroducing the foods you had eliminated. Healthy foods, again, of course, but things that weren't included in your diet. Let's say certain carbohydrates. Like legumes, beans, and lentils. These are also very healthy, but are eliminated in paleo and keto diets, for instance. You start reintroducing them, and gradually, one by one, and by soaking them, activating them, there are ways you can make those foods less starchy and eat them accordingly, gradually adding them to your diet and monitoring yourself. How do you feel after you added this? You do the diet to reach a certain goal, but it's not a lifetime sentence.
Yeah, it's
And this
like
is
babies. You're starting all over again, training your body to go with the new style of food you're gonna be
yeah,
introducing.
yes,
Choghik studied psychology, minor in biology. She had her master's in population statistics. You have the certificate in integrative nutrition. Where do you see yourself in the future? And you're writing a book, of course.
right. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I am going to try to apply for a PhD and work on public health behavior, concentrating on food again. Um, and I'm interested in two extreme age groups, in the very young, below 1 years of age, and the elderly in gerontology above 65 years of age. I think they have very unique needs, and I don't know why. My heart really goes out to these two extreme age groups. But I did my master's thesis on the aging population, and it was really an amazing learning opportunity for me. The
It
thesis, the
looks it was
interviews.
personal as much as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
Between this scientific beginning that you started and everything else being a mom, what made you go that route? What made you who you are today? What incident in life changed your life?
Oh my goodness. Um, but yeah, I think initially my children, um, I was I was obsessed. I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't say this perhaps, but I was obsessed with having really healthy, happy, and successful children.
Oh.
And I know, for example, success would come if they're healthy. They can do things that they like and love and are good at if they are healthy. I tried my best at the very beginning, and I didn't know everything that I know today. Integrative nutrition came just a few years ago, and that was the result of my youngest daughter having severe reflux issues, which, medications, nothing helped, and finally food helped. It was just
Yeah,
food.
that's very important. I guess, anyways, you have it in you that you're a giving person, and you just came in the right place to work on things, whether through studies or through the beautiful family you have. God bless them. How would you like to end with a specific word before I wrap up?
I just want to say that people should not blame themselves and beat themselves up if they try a diet and it doesn't work, because diets are not always easy, and things are not usually accessible in Lebanon easily, so it's even harder for us. I really encourage people to look inward and find the reasons for something that didn't work. And then, with time, give them a couple of weeks, couple of months. It will work. It will work eventually, but we have to look inward, not at the food alone. This is how I
Thank
would
you,
like to end
Choghik.
it.
Thank you, Choghik
Thank you.
Derkaloustian, for this wonderful, informative session. Truly, I think the integrative nutrition is the future medicine, or at least one of the studies that will be developed in medicine. I just want to raise a very important point for students heading to universities today. It's very important to know what you're doing, not in the major, but mostly in the minor as well, because you never know this minor that will be part of your education could be your future. Okay, Choghik was able to combine everything, and she's still moving forward. She's putting her personal interest on hold now because she's working to developing her career as a mom, the full-time job as a mom. But yet she is still working on many aspects of her future that I guess will be there for all of us. Choghik, it was nice having you. A beautiful talk, and good luck with your book. And if anyone has any questions, they will know where to go. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Badia. Thank you.
Thank you. The session will be posted on iChannel as well, so feel free to subscribe and watch it. And see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.